I am Edward Harlan. Everyone usually calls me Ed for short. I'm 81 years old this year. I'm sitting here in my old wooden house in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania, where the winter snow has just partially melted, looking out at the small river flowing through the town. Lord, my life now is like that river, slow but full of unexpected twists and turns. Today I want to tell you all the story of my own life, not to complain or make everyone sad, but because I almost didn't have the chance to tell it anymore. Last month, during a crazy blizzard night, I lay stretched out on the kitchen floor for 4 whole hours, unable to call anyone, unable to move a muscle. At that time, I thought to myself, Ed, you're old now, you think you still control everything. And that very moment completely changed the way I see old age. Not because I'm afraid of death, but because I realized that the things I once believed were important, money, fame, a big family, turned out not to be what kept me getting back up. When I was young, I worked at a car assembly plant near Detroit, from the age of 19 until I retired in 2005. I thought that if I just threw myself into work and saved enough money, I would have a peaceful old age. My wife, Eleanor, passed away 12 years ago from a sudden heart condition. We have 2 children. Our son Michael is now an engineer in Chicago, and our daughter Lisa is in Florida with her husband and 3 grandchildren. They video call me once a week, but the conversation usually only lasts 10 minutes, full of, "How are you, Dad?" and then silence. I don't blame them, their lives are busy. But on those lonely evenings, I started feeling a strange emptiness. Damn it, I once thought having a family was enough, but now that emptiness keeps growing, like a hole I don't know how to fill. My health started declining from when I was 75. At first, it was just dull back pain after carrying old boxes in the garage. I thought, whatever, when you're old, everyone hurts. Then one morning, I tried to bend down to tie my shoelaces and had to sit flat on the floor, breathing heavily. The doctor at the county hospital said I had knee degeneration and needed physical therapy. But I was lazy, thinking I could still go to the market myself, still drive to the grocery store. By the time the pain became persistent, I regretted it. Have you ever wondered how you'd feel if one day your legs no longer obeyed you? I have experienced it, and it scared me so much that I couldn't sleep for several nights. Money also started becoming a problem. My pension from the plant is only enough to pay the basic utility bills and medicine. But last year, heating costs skyrocketed because of natural gas prices, plus a $2,000 emergency dental bill. I lay in bed calculating, my mind in turmoil. Will I be able to live to 90? I used to have some savings in the bank, but inflation ate it all away. I'm not rich or anything, just enough to get by, but the worry of running out of money someday clings to me like a ghost. I sincerely advise you young people listening to me, don't wait until retirement to worry about financial stability. Save every dollar wisely. Don't think your current job will support you forever. I made that mistake, and now I'm paying for it with nights of worry so bad my heart pounds. Then my daily habits also gradually fell apart. When I was still working, every day I woke up at 6, drank black coffee, read the newspaper, then went to work. But after retiring, everything became vague. Some days I woke up at 10, wandered around the house, watched TV until it got dark, then went back to sleep. The days blended into each other like one long, endless chain. I remember one time sitting in the living room, looking at the clock, wondering, what day is it today? And not remembering. That feeling of time passing meaninglessly made me anxious. I once thought freedom was not having to do anything, but it turned out to be a burden. If you don't have a small rhythm to your day, your mind will start wandering into negative thoughts. My friends around me have also passed away one by one. Mr. Harry, my weekly poker buddy, died of a stroke last year. Mrs. Margaret from the church moved into a nursing home because her children were worried. The rare meetings left are just old stories repeated over and over. I no longer have anyone to call and talk to from the heart. Once I picked up the phone, wanting to call Michael, but hung up because I was afraid of bothering him. That feeling of isolation isn't loud, but a heavy silence, as if the whole world is spinning but there's no place for me. I started losing reasons to get up every morning. When I was young, I liked gardening, growing tomatoes and roses in the backyard. But after Eleanor passed, I neglected it and let the grass grow wild. Now, every morning I open my eyes, but there's nothing waiting for me. No breakfast cooked by someone together, no small tasks that need doing. I just sit there, looking out the window, and wonder, what am I going to do today so the day isn't wasted? That empty feeling keeps growing, making me so depressed I don't want to get out of bed. I used to joke with myself, Ed, you're old but still this lazy. But deep down, I know it's not laziness, but a lack of a thread connecting me to life. Tension started rising higher when this winter came early. Snow fell heavily, the roads were slippery. I tried to go out to buy milk and bread, but slipped right at the front steps. Luckily, I only got scraped, but from then on, I became more fearful. Every night, with the wind howling through the cracks in the door, I lay listening to my heart beating, worrying about everything. Health, money, uncertain days, no one by my side, all piled up into a heavy weight in my chest. I started thinking about the worst things. What if I fall again and no one knows? What if the money runs out and I have to sell the house? Those questions swirled in my head, keeping me from sleeping peacefully. One afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table, looking at an old photo of Eleanor and our 2 kids. I whispered, "Honey, what am I doing?" The tears rolled down and I couldn't hold them back. That feeling of losing control grew stronger and stronger. I tried calling Lisa, but she was in a meeting, only saying, "Dad, wait for me to call back, okay?" The phone went silent. At that moment, I realized my life was sliding downhill faster than I thought. Not because of one big accident, but because of hundreds of small cracks that had accumulated. I started feeling like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, just needing one gust of wind to fall. Then came that terrifying blizzard night. The power went out, the house was pitch black. I woke up at midnight because of severe back pain and tried to shuffle to the kitchen for water. My foot slipped on the cold wooden floor and I fell hard. Sharp pain shot from my hip throughout my body. I lay there, trying to call for help, but my voice was hoarse from the cold. No one heard. The phone was only 2 meters away, but I couldn't reach it. In that moment, all my fears came rushing in at once. I thought about my children, about the years that had passed, about how I had never prepared for this moment. My heart beat erratically. Cold sweat broke out, even though it was freezing. "Lord, don't let me die alone like this," I mumbled. Time dragged on endlessly. Every second was torture. I lay there, my thoughts chaotic. I recalled the fishing trips with Harry on Lake Erie, the afternoons when Eleanor and I sat on the veranda drinking tea. Now, all that's left are memories. The tension rose to the point where I thought I was going to suffocate. Was this the end? Would I still have a chance to fix my mistakes? Those questions drilled deep into my mind, causing me extreme panic. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't obey. Pain and fear mixed together. I almost gave up. But then, in that darkness, a thought flashed. I couldn't end like this. I had to find a way to get up. I had to change. That decision hadn't formed clearly yet, but it was enough for me to hold onto a thin thread of hope. I waited, listening to the wind outside the window, and promised myself that if I made it through this night, I would do things differently. The tension was still at its peak, my heart pounding like a drum, but at least I was still breathing. And right in that moment of lying there, alone and in pain, it prepared me for what was going to happen next in my life. I lay there, my body aching as if a truck had run over me, the wind howling through the window cracks, making the floor ice cold. "You bastard," I muttered, my voice hoarse from the cold and fear. Every time I tried to move, my hip throbbed like needles pricking. The wall clock ticked, each second stretching on forever. I thought about Eleanor, about the times she cleaned my wounds after my night shifts at the plant. Honey, if you were still here, I wouldn't be this stupid. But now it was just me, and in that very moment, lying stretched out on the kitchen floor in the darkness, I made the biggest decision of my life. Not like a hero in a movie, but like an 81-year-old man, tired, in pain, but still with a bit of fire in his heart. I told myself, Ed, you're not dying tonight. You're going to get up, and you're going to change. No more waiting for anyone, no more complaining. I don't know where I got the strength from. Maybe from the extreme fear, or from the memory of my father, that stubborn old man who once crawled through the snow to rescue his hunting dog in 1963. I inched my body along centimeter by centimeter, my hands shaking as I reached for the phone that had fallen just 2 meters away. My fingernails scraped the wooden floor, cold sweat pouring out even though it was below freezing. Finally, my fingers touched the screen. I dialed the emergency number, my voice weak. I fell. Willow Creek. Harlan, help me. Then I passed out. When I came to, the flashlight from the rescue team shone in my face. They took me to the county hospital. The doctor shook his head and said, "You're very lucky, Mr. Harlan. Your hip is only cracked, not broken. But if you had lain there another hour, you would have had severe hypothermia." I lay on the hospital bed, looking at the stark white ceiling, and smirked at myself. Lord Ed, you almost died because of laziness and stupidity. It's time to wake up. I was discharged after 3 days and returned home with crutches and a long list from the doctor. For the first time in many years, I had no choice. That was when the real climax hit. Not when I fell, but when I had to face myself. I sat at the kitchen table, looking at the old photo of Eleanor, and said out loud, "Do you see, honey? I'm going to do it my way. No waiting for the kids, no waiting for miracles. I'm going to rebuild from zero." That decision wasn't easy. My heart pounded when I thought about changing, but I did it. I called Michael for the first time, not beating around the bush. "Son, Dad needs your help with something. I want you to send me your old tablet. I'm going to learn how to exercise through videos." He was surprised, but agreed. That was the first step. I started with my body first. Not some fancy gym stuff, I hated that since I was young. Every morning, even though it hurt, I shuffled around the house with crutches, and after 2 weeks, I was walking slowly in the backyard. Just 10 minutes, but I counted every step. 1, 2, 3, don't fall again, you idiot. I laughed at myself to keep my spirits up. The doctor recommended leg exercises. I followed them, even though at first it hurt so bad I wanted to cry. In the second month, I ditched the crutches and walked to the post office half a mile from home. Lord, the feeling of doing that small thing by myself felt so good. I sincerely advise you all, don't wait until it hurts to start exercising. Start today, even if it's just walking around the house. Health isn't for showing off, it's to keep your freedom. Without it, everything else is just an illusion. Money was the next issue. My pension was only enough for bills, but I didn't want to live in worry anymore. I sat down at the table, spread out paper, and calculated every dollar. Ed, you're not Rockefeller, but you can be smarter. I remembered in 2018, I used to make some wooden crafts and sell them at the town flea market. Now I dug out the old workshop and started making them again. Nothing grand, just letter trays and small storage boxes. I listed them for sale online, with Lisa helping take photos. In the first month, I made $200. Not much, but steady. I opened a separate account and saved every penny for medicine and house repairs. The worry of running out of money someday is still there, but it no longer suffocates me. You know, financial stability isn't about being rich. It's knowing that tomorrow morning you can still buy a loaf of bread without begging anyone. I advise you young people, build small but reliable sources of income from early on. Don't let old age turn into a battle for survival. Then I rebuilt my routines, not a military schedule, just small things repeated. Every morning at 6 I wake up, brew black coffee like in my working days. After drinking it, I walk for 10 minutes in the garden, even in rain or snow. At noon, I cook a simple meal: eggs, toast, vegetables from the garden. In the afternoon, I sit on the veranda reading old books, those Hemingway novels I loved since 1970. At first it felt forced, but gradually it became rhythm. The days no longer blurred together. I no longer wake up asking, "What day is it today?" Instead, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And the strange thing is, that rhythm brings peace. I once thought freedom was doing nothing, but now I understand. True freedom is being in control of your day. Have you ever wondered how you'd feel if one day there was nothing waiting for you? I lived through that, and it almost killed me, so I created reasons to wake up. I adopted a stray cat from the town rescue station. His name is Rusty, fluffy orange fur, blind in one eye. Every morning, I wake up to feed him, change his litter, pet him. He's not a fancy pet, just a small creature that needs me. And that gives me motivation. Every afternoon, I water the plants in the garden, care for the rose bushes Eleanor once planted. Those small tasks became the thread connecting me to life. Not some grand mission, just today Rusty needs to eat, today the flowers need water. And you know what? That's enough to make my day meaningful. Connection also changed. I didn't go out looking for lots of friends. Instead, I focused on the relationships I still had. I call Harry's widow, Mrs. Betty, once a week. We don't talk much, just share old stories about the poker games. "Betty, do you remember the time Harry bluffed the whole table?" We laugh, then comfortable silence. With my kids, I no longer expect them to call every day. I just send short texts. "Dad's fine, you all take care of yourselves." And when Lisa came to visit the next month, we sat on the veranda for a long time, not saying much, just looking at the river. That was a deeper connection than ever before. I learned that you don't need many people, just a few sincere ones. And most importantly, I learned how to connect with myself. No more blaming myself, "You stupid old man," but sitting quietly, accepting everything. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, am I really comfortable being alone? I used to be afraid of that answer, but after that blizzard night, I started practicing. Every evening, after Rusty fell asleep, I turned off the lights and sat in the dark living room. At first, thoughts flooded in like a tide, regrets, worries, loneliness. I almost turned the TV on, but I persisted. I breathed deeply, letting the thoughts drift by like clouds. Gradually, the silence was no longer scary. It became a friend. I remembered those solo fishing trips on Lake Erie in 1985, the feeling of the wind on my face. Now, right in my house, I found something similar. That inner peace is something no one can take away. Time passed. 6 months after that terrifying blizzard night, I am no longer the old man lying stretched out on the floor. Every morning I wake up and walk a mile around Willow Creek. My body still hurts, but it obeys me. The small income from the wooden crafts helps me pay the bills without worry. The daily routine gives shape to the days. Rusty waits for me every morning, and the rose garden is blooming. I have Betty to talk to, and my children know their dad is okay. But most importantly, I have myself. I sit on the veranda, drink coffee, look at the flowing river, and smile. Old age is no longer something to fear. It is a new chapter, quiet but full of meaning. I advise you who are listening to me, start today. Don't wait until you fall to change. Take care of your body like your most valuable asset. Build stable income sources, even if small. Create a rhythm for your days. Find small reasons to wake up. Cherish sincere connections, and learn to be alone without fear. Those things didn't save me from all suffering, but they help me live with dignity. And have you ever wondered, when old age comes, which way will you choose to face it? My story ends here, but life goes on. I'm still in Willow Creek, still making wooden crafts, still petting Rusty every morning. If you find this story helpful, please leave a comment below sharing your own experiences with old age. And if you like, Please like and subscribe so I can tell more real stories. Thank you all for listening to this old man Ed. God bless us all.